Greed, betrayal, and sabotage sounds like the stuff of a pulp fiction novel. But no, this is the subject of our next Dinosaur Stories episode. The title of this episode is The Bone Wars. Now you're probably wondering what this has to do with dinosaurs. Well, this bone war led to a revolution in discovery of dinosaurs, the likes we have not seen since. But what are these bone wars? The Bone Wars were a legendary period of intense rivalry in the late 19th century between two brilliant but bitterly competitive paleontologists. Okay, so who are these paleontological desperados? Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope are the bad boy subjects of this video. I'm standing in the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia, where Edward Drinker Cope spent much of his time. Born in Philadelphia in 1840, he was a prominent American naturalist and paleontologist. Now, the other character in our drama was Othniel Charles Marsh. He was one of the most influential American paleontologists of the 19th century. He was also the first professor of vertebrate paleontology in the United States, and a prolific fossil collector and describer. In the autumn of 1864, Copes met Marsh in Berlin. A chance meeting, actually. Marsh, already a professor at Yale with a wealthy uncle's fortune behind him, and Edward Drinker Cope, the brilliant, impulsive son of a wealthy Philadelphia family, spent several days together examining fossils in European museums. So they parted as friends, and in the years that followed, they even named new species after one another. Tyonius marshii for Marsh, Mosasaurus copianus for Cope. But friendships don't always last forever, do they? And their friendship began to crumble here in 1868 at a marl pit in Haddonfield, New Jersey. Cope had been excavating at the marl pit in New Jersey and generously invited Marsh to see the site. Marsh accepted the invitation. And then Marsh quietly struck a deal with the quarry owners to send all future paleontological finds directly to New Haven. Now, Cope may not have an Ivy League degree, but he knows when he's been stabbed in the back. In the early 1870s, word spread of massive bones buried in the Badlands of the American West. The Kansas chalk beds, the Morrison Formation in Colorado and Wyoming held vast Jurassic graveyards. In 1871, Cope rushed to a Kansas site Marsh's team had recently abandoned. He found treasures Marsh had overlooked, including an extraordinary swimming reptile. Cope named it Elasmosaurus platyurus and proudly reconstructed the skeleton for display, but he made a catastrophic mistake. He placed the skull at the end of the tail instead of the neck. Probably a good thing Cope wasn't a doctor. Well, I'm back at the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia. It is here that Cope displayed the Elasmosaurus platyurus, and it was here that Marsh spotted the error immediately. Marsh gleefully pointed out the error loudly in front of colleagues. Naturally, Cope was humiliated. He tried to buy back every copy of the journal containing his mistake. By 1877, the richest bone fields lay at Como Bluff, Wyoming. Arthur Lakes, a schoolteacher turned prospector, first contacted Marsh with samples. Marsh sent money and claimed the site. Lakes, being the opportunistic schoolteacher that he was, then wrote to Cope offering the same bones for a higher price. Cope accepted. Marsh responded by sending armed men to guard his quarries. Cope hired his own crews. Soon the ridge echoed with shouts, accusations, and the occasional thrown rock. Both men resorted to desperate measures. They bribed workers to spy on the other's digs. They paid railroad men to misdirect shipments of crates. Things were getting out of hand. When one team finished a quarry, the other sometimes dynamited the remaining bones or filled the holes with debris so no one else could profit. I once heard greed is a fat demon with a small mouth, and whatever you feed it is never enough. I imagine that is applicable here. What is that saying about silver linings? Some good came from all this madness. So what is the silver lining here? Well, for one thing, major historical paleontological discoveries emerge from this madness, and I would think we have a better understanding of life in the Mesozoic. Marsh and Cope discovered and described many dinosaurs, including Stegosaurus, Camarasaurus, Triceratops, pterosaurs, not to mention Apatosaurus and later Brontosaurus. The Apatosaurus and Brontosaurus situation will be the subject of the next episode of Dinosaur Stories. Aren't you supposed to be in the museum?
I'm on break.
In the late 1800s, the American public devoured dime novels and pulp fiction with stories of the Old West, Billy the Kid, Jesse James, the OK Corral, and the Bone Wars. The American public devoured the drama. Newspapers ran headlines about the Great Bone War. And if the exaggerated stories in the tabloids weren't enough, the two scientists began publishing savage attacks in journals. Cope accused Marsh of incompetence. Marsh called Cope reckless and unscientific. Both men's reputations suffered, but neither would yield. By the late 1880s, the toll became unbearable. Marsh, using political connections, became head paleontologist for the U.S. Geological Survey and cut Cope off from federal funding. Cope, desperate, invested his remaining fortune in a silver mine that failed. He sold his house, his books, everything but his fossils. And in a final act of vengeance, Cope turned the tables. He leaked documents showing Marsh had misused government funds and padded expenses. The scandal reached Congress. The survey's paleontology budget was slashed. Marsh lost his position and much of his income, and the Smithsonian demanded many of his specimens. What a tragedy. Both men died broken. Cope in 1897, Marsh in 1899, each nearly penniless. Their collections scattered, their names more infamous for pettiness than their genius. Yet the irony endures. Between them, they described over 130 new species of extinct vertebrates. They forced American paleontology onto the world stage. The very dinosaurs that fill museums today, Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Apatosaurus, bear the scars of their feud. Well, that's our story. Shakespeare couldn't write a more tragic one. More dinosaur stories coming soon, so stay tuned. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. More dinosaur stories coming soon. Good day.